think some people have seen the worst of the downturn. I think others probably have got some bad news ahead.
I think some of the businesses who will come out of the recession stronger are those who recognised and planned for it earlier, to be honest. So they've already done the not just the easy cost cutting, but actually some of the structural changes in their operations to address the what is undoubtedly a different market that we're now facing. I think businesses who have been less encumbered by debt have an advantage, because they have sort of less shackles and less, I suppose, compliance and sort of, in some respects, less masters, in terms of not having sort of a banking relationship there. So I think some private businesses who have been maybe more cautious than others in the past have a real opportunity, actually, to grow. But again, some of that may involve extra capital and extra debt going into their businesses as well.
I think some people have seen the worst of the downturn. I think others probably have got some bad news ahead. I think a lot of companies are struggling for cash and are struggling to raise any funding and to negotiate with their bankers. And there are a lot of companies out there who are at risk of breaching bank covenants. So I think, a lot depends on what the banks do and how supportive the banks will continue to be. And actually they've been pretty supportive in standing by the businesses they've invested in so far, but how long will they be supportive for, and what fallout will there be in the UK economy? What
we've gone through and what we're going through in terms of recession is actually maybe the first time for a lot of businesses. Okay, you can look back to the early 90s, but that was 18, 19 years ago. So for a lot of businesses, even quite established businesses, what we've gone through is pretty unusual. And actually managing the cash flow, thinking about those more strategic relationships about growing revenue, will put more of a strain on the business. And I think people ought to look around almost, how do they maintain the day-to-day operations, and almost quite separately put a team, put managers in place to do that. Whereas the more sort of entrepreneurial side, the more growth side of the business, and some of those key relationships, actually make sure that they actually map those directly on to people within the organisation as key objectives for them. And in some respects, when you're talking about maybe new businesses, new revenue opportunities, to what extent should you actually almost try to ring fence those activities and actually not sort of burden those new activities with some of the legacy day-to-day problems that businesses have? So actually keep them separate and actually have a separate focus and maybe even a separate culture around some of those businesses in this new trading environment that we have.